Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another dark and dingy day in Northampton, and more importantly, it is Marathon Day. And today's band is a band that we sort of briefly skirted over last week, Chad Allen and the Expressions. We knew why they changed their name from the Reflections, but why did they change from Expressions to the Guess Who? Well, it was a publicity stunt by Quality Records. Now, as we know, Chad Allen released a version of Shakin' All Over, which was a Johnny Kidd hit, and it made #1 in Canada. And but what they did, they disguised the single, did Quality Records, and credited it to Guess Who to generate speculation that it was actually a more famous British invasion band working incognito, and it seemed to have worked. They were quite successful up until 1975 when they broke up, and that's when the fun started. Now, former bassist Jim Cale toured under the name of the Guess Who until 2024, which often performed without Bannatyne and Cummings, who had been very unhappy that Cale had got a sanctioned version of the group and launched lawsuits for the use of the name and not to use any songs written by them. So this went on for forever. But so the group had to cancel all its scheduled appearances from 2024, April of this year. But on September the 4th, which was not very long ago, it was announced that Bannatyne and Cummings had gained control of the Guess Who name in a settlement. So I have included some of the album sort of in that period as well. So that means we've got 16 albums to go through today. Some are good, some are really good. I don't mind this band. I've always had like a greatest hits anthology album of this band, so I'm aware of their stuff, but it was nice to listen to the stuff that I didn't know. So, coming in at number 16 is the 16th album, and it came out in 2023, and it's called Plein d'Amour. Now, playing on here, playing guitar and vocals, is Michael Stairtoe, on bass Michael Devlin, Derek Sharp on guitar, Leonard Shaw keyboards, Gary Peterson, who is the original drummer, Tony Kempler on violin, and Jason Carabo on cello. So there's no one here apart from Gary that's official. So the first track on here is called The King. It's a very pleasant song. It's nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't say it's bad. Across the Line, the vocals are good in this. It's okay. People Around Me, I love the piano in this. It is really good, and there's some good drumming from Gary. Very solid drummer. My favourite track on this one is a thing called Headline. It's one of them tracks that does sound like the good old day. There's some lovely harmony singing, some nice acoustic guitar. Although it's not any of the originals, it's got that feel to it. Pursuit of No Regret, it's okay. Again, it's just a average sort of track. Spaces, now this reminds me of another band called Sad Cafe. Their sort of stuff, pretty good. Free is a little bit wishy-washy, a bit insipid. And then the title track is called Plein d'Amour. It's okay. It's got a lovely flute piece in it. Pleasant enough album. I wouldn't really call this a Guess Who album. Okay, it's got Gary on it, but yeah, it's listenable. I wouldn't dismiss it, so I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 15, we got a 1994 and an album called Liberty. Playing on here is on bass and vocals Jim Cale, drums and vocals Gary Peterson, guitar Kevin Brait, and guitars Dale Russell, keyboards and saxophone and vocals Leonard Shaw, keyboards John Sheard, and lead vocals and guitar Terry Hattie. First track on here is called Sweet Liberty. It's my favourite track off this album. It's a good little rocker. One of the best tracks on the album. Loves All That Matters Tonight. It's very Mike and the Mechanics. Sad Cafe, that sort of sound. It's okay. Lonely One, a little bit poppy for me. I'm not that keen on that track at all. It's just a little wishy-washer. Haunted Heart, another of them wishy-washy, middle of the road sort of tracks. Anything for Love, very soft rock. It's okay. Rock and roll classic. That's safe rock for the 90s. The Razor's Edge. If you take away the cheesy keyboard at the beginning, which is horrible, the rest of the song's pretty good because it's got an excellent guitar solo on it. Then we get I Feel Your Pain, a very poppy ballad, not for me at all. Still Feels Like Love, nice singing, mediocre. And the last track, Amy, very wishy-washy. Where's the bucket? I need to do something. Okay, it's got Jim and Gary on it, but it's still not an original. Very mediocre soft rock. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.3. Okay, coming in at number 14. From 1981, it's called Not Now and Not Then. We've got Jim Cale on bass, only one that's there, and drums Sonny Burford, guitar Dale Russell, vocals Brent DeJarle. So the first track on here is called Love Light. It's got some nice guitars on it. That's okay. Look Around. Good guitar work here from Dale Russell and Mike McKenna. Pretty good. Straight Shooting Man. It's got a good guitar solo on. That's all I can say about that one. Magic, it's pleasant enough. It's just very mediocre. Beyond Beautiful, a really good bass line from Jim. You know, pretty good. Solid, great bass player. Pretty good. Dancing in the Night isn't too bad. Very dated sound. Country Disco. My favourite track on here, I think it's much to do with the funky bass line from Jim Cale. Absolutely brilliant. What a Feeling. Nah, it's not very good. Home the Fire's Burning. It's got some nice riffs in it, but it's just average. All Over Now, a bit insipid ballad. Give the bucket again. Okay. Again, it's okay. It's not bad. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, coming in at number 13, we're going to the 14th album now. Power in the Music, released in 1979, and it's the last album to feature lead singer Burton Cummings before he left. So it's Burton Cummings on lead vocals and keyboards, Dominic Turano on guitar, Bill Wallace on bass, and Gary Peterson on the drums. First track is called Down and Out Woman. I like this song. Great vocal from Burton. It's a proper sort of Guess Who style track. Really good. Women, good guitar work here from Dominique. Very good guitar player. Got a nice sound on that guitar. Solid track. Now my favourite track is a track called When the Band Was Singing Shaking All Over. So this really goes back to the early days, and there's some great riffs, and it's some quotes from about the band back in the day. Very good. Dreams. It's not one of my favourite tracks. It's all over the place. Then we have a track called Rich World, Poor World. My second favourite on here. Great vocal from Burton. Some really good guitar work on this as well. Then we have Roseanne. It's okay. Course for Sunday. I love the drumming from Gary on this. Really, and a bit of electric piano in there from Burton. Very, very good. Shopping Bag Lady. It's all right. And Power in the Music. It's a very good funky guitar and a great bass line. It's not a bad album actually. Not as strong as the early days, but it's still pretty decent. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 12 from 1978. It's called Guess Who's Back. On here is Don McDougall, who's been in the band before, Dave Ingis on guitar, Vance Masters vocals and drums, Jim Cale on vocals and bass, and Kurt Winter on guitar. So you've sort of got a decent version of Guess Who. So the first track is called Come On Little Mama. The guitar work is great on this. I love the groove it is from Don and David. Very, very good. Vancouver is a great little rocker. Some good guitar work once again. Never Trust a Chorus Girl. Nice, gentle sort of track. Nice guitar work again. My favourite on this one is called Raising Hell on the Prairies. I love that driving bass line from Jim. You got a really good drum bit from Vance. Pretty solid. Then we have a thing called Sweet Young Thing. Very nice harmonies, and it's a good little rocker. Keep on Shining. I like the combination of electric and acoustic guitars on this. It really works. Moonwave Maker, solid track. The riff on this is so catchy. Another great vocal. And the last track is Laid It On Me Anyway. Second favourite track. Got a bluesy riff to it, some nice harmonies again, a good track to end the album. It's a really good album. I think it's very underrated, and because of the squabbles and that, I don't think it gets the credit it should. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.2. So coming in at number 11 is the third album. And it's called It's Time, and it was the last album to feature Chad Allen before he left, and this is the album that introduces Burton Cummings and Bruce Decker of the Deverones. Although Bruce Decker is shown on the album, he didn't perform on the album, and this is the album was the big turning point for the album, and it sort of draws them towards the garage rock style of music. So it's Chad Allen on lead vocals and rhythm guitar, Burton Cummings on the keyboards, Randy Bachman on lead guitar, Jim Cale on bass, and Gary Peterson on the drums. First track is All Right. I love this. There's a great little bit of piano on this from Burton. Absolutely terrific. Great vocal from Chad. Really good. And She's All Mine. It's got that country feel to it, but it's still got a 60s groove with it. It's very groovy. It's very similar to some of the stuff on them first two albums they did as Chad Allen and the Expressions. It's a very strong track. You know he did. Written by L. Ransford, whose pen name is a pen name for Alan Clark, and it's actually written by Graham Nash and Tony Hicks. So the Hollies wrote this. It's not a bad cover of it either. It's a Hollies song, really good. Baby Feeling, it's not bad. It's a Johnny Kidd number. They did it justice. Clock on the Wall, brilliant track. Gary's drumming is brilliant on this. He's some of his best. Don't Act So Bad, nice little rocker. Jim Cale's bass line is the thing that holds that one together. Believe Me is the next one. It's got tendencies of Old and I, All of the Night by the Kinks, all Day and All of the Night. It's got that sort of chinky to it. It's pretty good. 7 Long Years, bass line and piano work wonderfully on that track. One Day, some nice vocals from Chad on that. Gonna Search, you can tell Randy Bachman's guitar work on this, along with the great bit of drumming from Gary. Then the last track is a ballad, a very 60s style one called I'll Guess Find a Place. Yeah, it's the first album that they put out under the name The Guess Who, but it's still very Chad Allen and the Expression style. I think it's the best album that Chad did. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. So we move into the top 10. So coming in at number 10, we've got the 8th album from 1971, and it's called So Long Bannatyne. On here we've got Burton Cummings on lead vocals and keyboards and saxophones, Kurt Winter on the lead guitar and backing vocals, Greg Leskie on rhythm guitar, Jim Cale bass, and Gary Peterson drums. First track is called Rain Dance, and Gary's drumming on here. It's got that sort of Native American Indian drumming. The beginning, you know, when you watch a Western and you get a load of teepees appear on the screen and it's got that drumming. It's just like that. It's very, very good. It's a really good track anyway. She Might Have Been a Nice Girl. Again, Gary's drumming on this is terrific. It's got a really good tempo to it. The guitar work from Kurt and Greg is pretty good. Then we have a little track called Going a Little Crazy. Reminds me of ELO with them cellos on their early albums. It just really is. It's really good. Fiddling, it's one of these nonsense tracks, a bit of busking sort of thing. Pain Train, my favourite track on here. I love the guitar sort of play off between Kurt and Greg. Some really nice harmonies on this as well. One Divided. We've got a bit of banjo here from Greg. It's a bit of a ragtime thing. It's a really good track. Grey Day is next. Second favourite track on here. I love the guitar work on this. Again, it's like interplay between Greg and Kurt. Life in the Bloodstream. What I like about this is the piano. It's very 60s ballad style, but it's really got a strong tone of harmonies as well. One Man Army. I like the middle bit. It's bizarre. It really breaks the song up. Strange. Then we have Sour Sweet, one of Burton's great little tracks here. The piano and singing, you can't knock it. Then we have the title track, So Long Bannatyne, bluesy style, nice drum from Gary. The bass line from Jimmy's excellent. It's just a brilliant track to end the album. Lots of different sort of sounds. There's some ragtime on it, there's some bluesy jabs. It's a very good album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.6. Time for a bit of lubrication. Okay, coming in at number 9, the 5th album from 1969, and it's called Canned Wheat. Burton Cummings, Randy Bachman, Jim Cale, Gary Peterson, a classic lineup of the Guess Who. First track on here is No Time. Now this has got a really strange start. It's a weird off-key thing that's going on. You go, oh dear. And then Gary brings it back into line with some great drumming. And then Randy just seems to gel it with a great riff. Excellent track. Minstrel Boy, very country. Nice guitar work on here from Randy. Excellent. Laughing. I do love Burton's vocal on this. A lovely little bit of guitar here. And the keyboards are really good. Undone. There's a great little riff on this from Randy. And the Gary's drumming. It really is jelly on this. AM or Nearer. Some wonderful flute on here. But without that flute, it would be quite a mediocre track. But the flute actually lifts this song. Then we have a little thing called Old Joe. The drumming from Gary on this is fabulous again. Then my favourite track on here, it's a epic 11 minutes called Key. It's got prog, it's got psychedelia, it's got rock, all combined. It flows wonderfully. It's one of the best tracks from this period of this band. Fair warning, it's a very short thing, weird add-on at the end. This is a pretty good album. It's got some strange stuff on it, but it's still a very good album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.8. Okay, then coming in at number 8, the 4th album that was released in March of 1969. and it was the first full-length Guess Who album to feature Burton Cummings exclusively on lead vocals, and the first without Chad Allen. So it's Burton Cummings, Randy Bachman, Jim Cale and Gary Peterson. First track on here is These Eyes. Great vocal from Burton. Got some string keyboard sounds on this. Very, very good. Pink wine sparkles in the glass. Very early Pink Floyd psychedelia sort of track. It really is. And I love the guitar work from Randy on this. His lead work is brilliant. I found her Star. It's a nice, gentle song. Lovely little track that is. Then we have another epic called Friends of Mine, 10 minutes. The Jim's wonderful bass line is great, especially the middle piece. It's more like a bass guitar solo. Very thing. It's also the keyboard. It's very Doors-esque in that sort of vein. Very good. Then we get When You Touch Me, a great little rocker. It's got a great guitar solo from Mr. Randy Bachman and a fantastic vocal from Burton. A Wednesday in Your Garden. It's a wonderful little gentle track with a lovely piano piece from Burton. Lightfoot. I've always been a fan of this. I think it's good when you've got others. You've got the main singer, in this case Burton, and the rest of them can sing as well, because they sort of harmonise. It's really nice. My favourite track on here is a thing called Love and a Yellow Rose. It's very hippie. It's very flowers in your hair type thing. It's an excellent track. Maple Fudge. I like this. It's a short thing, but it's one of Pink Floyd's Syd Barrett sort of little track, tongue-in-cheek type track. Very, very good. And the last track is called We're Coming to Dinner. The rhythm section on this is brilliant. You've got that steady bass line of Jim, and Gary's drum sort of intertwines with that. It really holds the track together. Solid album. I mean, it's the first one with Burton doing most of the singing, and I think Randy Bachman is on fire on the guitar on this album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7, we got the 12th album. Now, this was released in 1974, and it was the last album to feature guitarists Kurt Winter and Donnie McDougall, and it's called Road Food. So it's Burton, Kurt, Donnie, Bill Wallace is now on the bass, and Gary Peterson. First track on here is called Star Baby. The two guitarists, Kurt and Donnie, brilliant. That lovely twin guitar sound is absolutely brilliant. Then we have Attila Blues, the Guess Who. My favourite track on here, it's a bluesy sort of thing. The piano work from Burton on this is absolutely amazing. Another solid drum performance from Gary. Straighten Out. You've got a great vocal and piano from Burton. The drumming again from Gary is really good. Don't You Want Me? This is a very sort of a jazzy feel to it. It's a bit of a boogie number as well. I do like that. One Way Road to Hell. A really good song. Starts off with a really nice piano, and the vocal is really good as well. Then we have Clap for the Wolfman. Great bass line from Bill. Really, really good. Another fine vocal from Burton. Pleasing for Reason. Very Eagles-esque. I like it. The crisp guitars. Road Food. What a guitar solo from Kurt. One of his best. Excellent track. Ballad of the Last 5 Years. It's all about the comings and goings of the band. It's pretty interesting. Once again, a very solid album from this band. Really enjoyed it. I'd heard a couple of tracks off this, but on the whole, I really enjoyed this. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay then, coming in at number 6. Got the 13th album, and it's called Flavours, and it was the first album that featured Dominic Turano on guitars. That's the year it's come out because I didn't put it down. Like a wally I am. So it's Burton, Dominique, Bill Wallace on bass, Gary Peterson drums. First track is called Dancing Fool. The riff from Dominic is brilliant, or Dominique, I don't know how he pronounces it. Very solid. Hoedown time, nice singing. I think this is an interesting song. I do like the construction and the way that the vocal is delivered. Nobody knows his name. A fantastic vocal here from Burton. It's a really nice ballad as well. Digging Yourself, some great funky bass from Bill. A really good chunky guitar from Dominic. Very good. Then we have a track called Seems Like I Can't Live Without You, But I Can't Live With You. Very country ballad. Not a bad track. My favourite track on here was a little rocker called Dirty. Really heavy riff in here. I love Gary's drumming on that one. It's a really good ballad. A great vocal from Burton. Love this period of some of the ballads that they wrote were excellent, and this is one of them. Loves Me Like a Brother, another sort of country rock track. Got a good tempo. I do like this. Long Gone, second favourite track on here, and it's all to do with Gary's drumming again, especially at the beginning. It's sort of a take on the beginning of rock and roll by Led Zeppelin, but it really adds to it. It's an excellent track, and that was the last track. A fairly good album, a good one for Dominique to start. Some good guitar on this, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 5 is the 11th album from 1973, and it's called Number 10, and that's because it's although it's the 11th, it is their 10th release for RCA Records. So on here we've got Burton on doing the lead vocals and keyboards. We've got Kurt Winter, Donnie McDougall, Bill Wallace, and Gary Peterson, with Ron Holladson doing pedal steel guitar on a couple of the tracks. First track on this one is Take It Off My Shoulders. So when you hear tracks like this, I sometimes think that the Guess Who are like the Canadian version of the Eagles. It's got that feel to it. Then we've got Music Only. My favourite track on here, the guitar work on here, it's great. It's just like there's a little friendly competition between Donnie and Kurt. Because you can hear the playing off each other. It's all held together by Gary's wonderful beat on the drum. Miss Frizzy, which was written by Randy Bachman, so it's an older track. And I love the guitar work on here from both Kurt and Donnie. And you've got a great piano bit from Burton. Glamour Boy. I love the crowd effects at the beginning. It sounds like it's being played live, but it's not, and I love the piano work from Burton on this. Self Pity is a very good track, and it's got a bit of the old steel pedal on there to give it that country feel. Lie Down, what a balanced line from Bill. It's a quite laid back tune as well. And the last track is called Cardboard Empire. The harmony singing's good, the guitar work's good. It's a real strong track to end the album. I think during this period of time, the Guess Who was pretty consistent with their albums and output. It's just a really strong album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. Top 4, very hard because this is, I think, some of their great albums. So coming in at number 4, we have the 10th album from 73. First one that featured Bill Wallace, and it's called Artificial Paradise. So it's Burton, Kurt, Donnie, Bill and Gary. First one is Bye Bye Babe. Great opening track. The guitar worker once again is wonderful. Some lovely piano, and you get Bill coming in with his first bass, and it's killer. Samantha's Living Room. This is actually Donnie doing the lead vocal on it. He's a very good singer on his own. Very gentle track. I'll do like that. Rock and Roll Steam. The backing vocals are fantastic. It's got a great guitar solo on it as well. Then you got Follow Your Daughter Home. I love the percussion on here from Gary. It's brilliant. We've got an electric piano in there. Another great bass line. And you've got this little bit of flute coming in and out of it. Really strong track. Then we have my favourite on here. It's called Those Showbiz Shoes. Bluesy, jazzy, with a bit of heaviness. The piano really gels it. It's got a fantastic guitar solo on it as well. All Hashed Out is another bluesy thing. It's a great blues bass line from Bill. Absolutely on top form there. Then we've got Orally. It's a great guitar from Kurt and Donny. Absolutely brilliant. Lost and Found Town. Another track that Donny does the lead vocals. Very good track. And then we have a track, and I've got to get this right. It's called Hamba Gal Usalongali. Yeah, something like that. It's the singing on this. It's got a groove to it as well. Really good track. And the last track is called The Watcher. It's got some harpsichord on this, some piano, and it's a very solid track. This is a very underrated album, like a lot of these albums are. It's got some fine playing on that one, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.8. Okay, top three. Coming in at number 3 then, the 6th album from 1970, and it's American Woman. And it was the last that featured Randy Bachman. So it's Burton, Randy, Jim and Gary. Opens up, of course, of the classic American Woman. And you get the full version on here with the acoustic at the beginning, because the bit we know, the single bit, doesn't come in for a little while. And I think this is probably the best track they ever did. It's absolutely killer. Love this track. It's probably Burton's finest vocal as well with the band. No Time. It's still got that sort of Chad Allen and the Expressions feel to it, and I love it. It's just got a little bit more oomph than the 60s version. Talesman, I do like this track. The acoustic guitars on here, and it's another great vocal from Burton. No Sugar Tonight, New Mother Nature. It's got a great little acoustic bit on this. Then the Mother Nature bit goes into the tempo, builds up, and Burton's piano is fantastic. I need another drink. Oh, that's better. Okay, the next track is called 969, The Oldest Man. It's an instrumental. Second favourite track on here. Randy is having a while of a time. His guitar playing on this is brilliant. Brilliant little track. When Friends Fall Out. The words are quite tongue-in-cheek. It's got a great riff on it. Jim's bass line is terrific. And there's some really nice singing on that one. Then we have a track called 815. The drumming from Gary really holds this together. It's a funky number. We've got a funky bass line. It's one of those crossover tracks. Proper Stranger. Now, this is probably one of my favourite guitar solos ever by Randy Bachman. And he did some good ones over the years. It's an absolute killer. Absolute brilliant solo. Then we have Humpty's Blues, American Woman, Epilogue. It's a real bluesy number, and it sort of goes into a little bit of a slower version of American Woman. I think this was a very important album from the band. It was saying goodbye to the past and going into forward. It was a shame Randy didn't stick around, but we all know what he went and did after this, didn't he? And I think this is a brilliant album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 2. It's the 7th album, again from 1970. And it's the first album after American Woman. So this is the one without Randy. And they brought in Kurt Winter and Greg Leski. It's called Share the Land. So it's Burton, Kurt, Greg and Jim and Gary. First track on here is Miss Me Darling. Great rocker to open up, to introduce Kurt and Greg. Absolutely killer work on that. Then we have Bus Rider. Some great drumming from Gary on this. Once again, Burton's vocals are great. Do You Miss Me Darling? It's a little bit of a rip-off of Waterloo Sunset by the Kings. Yeah. I'd be wanting to look at the differences between them two tracks. Hand Me Down World. Guitars are absolutely wonderful on here. That twin guitar sounded wonderful, and there's a great bass line from Jim as well. Moan for You, Joe. I love the twin guitars again. Very, very good. Really gives that track a little bit of stability and a little bit of structure. My favourite track on here is the title track, Share the Land. It's got one of them great Burton Cummings vocals to start. It's up there with American Woman, that is. It's such a fantastic vocal. Hang On To Your Life. Again, a little bit of hick of Long Tall Sally from Eric. It's a little bit shorter, okay. Bit of a thing as well. Then we have Coming Down Off the Moneybag, Song for the Dog. I like this. I mean, you've got the Greg and Kurt banter on the guitars. You've got a great vocal, really fun track. Then we have this long track called 3 More Days. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Great rock track. The twin guitars working well on here. Great vocals again. Great track to end the album. Again, another excellent album. I think this just edits out American Woman because the sound is more complete now. This is the way that they went. See, American Woman still got that little bit of the odd pass, but this is the way they went through. And the two guitarists they brought in, Kurt and Greg, really bolstered their artillery. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.2. But my number one album is brilliant. And it was the last one that featured Greg on guitars. It's their 9th album from 1972, and it's just purely called Rockin. Burton, Kurt, Greg, Jim and Gary. First track on here is called Heartbroken Bopper. It's a very psychedelic start, but then all of a sudden you've got Greg and Kurt coming with this absolutely dynamite twin riff with a fantastic growly Burton vocal. Terrific. Then you get Your Ribbons On. I just love Burton's boogie woogie piano on this. It is absolutely brilliant, and it's got a brilliant bass line from Jim to back it up. Smoke Big Factory. This is a jazzy number. The guitar, you've gone from this real heavy rock riff to this quite delicate jazz riffs. Incredible how they just can switch off and do something else. The harmony vocals are brilliant. Love this track. Avaradurchi Girl. This is a great little bluesy number. The guitar solo on here is done by Kurt, and it's fantastic. I love that track. Then we have Guns, Guns, Guns. One of my favourite tracks on the album. One of my favourite tracks by this band. The riffs are good. It's quite heavy. It's gritty. Fantastic track. Then they do a version of Johnny Preston's Running Bear. It's okay. They do it justice. Not as good as the original, of course, but it's still a fun track. Gary's drumming on that is terrific. This is the bit I think the drum. If you took Gary's drumming and put it on the original, it'd even be a better song. Then we have my favourite track on here. It's called Back to the Cities. It's got that sort of 50s feel to it. The piano from Burton's very Fats Domino style. The guitar work from Kurt is good. A great solo. What a track. Then we have You Nashville Sneakers. It's jazz. It's a jazz fusion track. I don't know if Kurt or Greg were into jazz, but boy, the guitar work is fantastic on that. Then Herbert Saluza, great vocal here from Burton. My second favourite track on here, another wonderful guitar solo from Kurt. Throw in a little boogie woogie piano as well, and it makes it a great track. Then High Rockers. It's okay. It's a bit of a nonsense thing at the beginning, them talking. But once you get rid of that nonsense, it's actually a good track. I think, to be quite honest, get rid of that talking. But it's got a bit of a rockabilly feel to it. This is my favourite album because I think it's probably the most rockiest, but it's also got some jazz influence on it. And I think this is probably the best album that Gary drummed on with the Guess Who. It's an absolutely fantastic drumming performance on this album. So I'm going to give this album an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, that's a great little one today. If you've never really checked their albums, go and check them out. But just a little reminder, tonight at 7 p.m, we are doing what we're calling the playoff wheel. Now, we've had 22 entries into Battle Royal 2, but we need 32 to make it the competition. So 10 lucky people will have an extra song in the competition, and tonight Dave and I they're all on a wheel, and we're just going to pick the first 10 that come off the wheel. So join us for that at 7 p.m. tonight. If you can't watch it and you're in it, it'll be up for a few days. In fact, it might be up for about a week. I'll keep it up for a week so you can see if you've gone through with 2. But if not that, we'll be back tomorrow, and we have got the last sophomore drone for a little while. It'll come back after this competition because there's still plenty of sophomore albums we haven't done battles with. And tomorrow we're going to have a bit of a 60s Brit day, and we're going to look at they went head to head with their debut, so I thought I'd do the head to head with the second albums, and it's the Kinks against the Trogs. And tomorrow we're going to take a trip down memory lane, and we're going back to 1955. No, we're not. That's next week. It's because I was doing some work on it. It's actually a producer, and we're going to look at the magnificent work of rock pop producer Bob Ezrin. So that's all coming tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody, and bye for now.